Does the idea of speaking to a stranger make you want to volunteer to have your left hand amputated and your foot strained instead of actually sitting on a bench and speaking to somebody you've never met? Are you completely I literally cannot at the thought of going to a networking event, just because you understand social anxiety is going to be here, expectations to speak to people are going to be super high, and you're going to be spiraling out of control? Are you the kind of person who has so much to give, so much that you want to say, and you find yourself, your mind completely blanking out? Maybe it's even when you have worked up the courage to raise your hand and speak in a meeting and you're like, where are the words? Or maybe you're in a social environment and you lock eyes with somebody who you're like, wow, this person is just all the dreams, all the check boxes. I would love to speak to this person. And then you very quickly sink into your phone, never ever look up, and melt into total oblivion, thinking about the thought of like, they're probably looking at me right now. I have no idea what to say. Oh my God, like, oh my God, let me just hide. Any of this sound familiar? If that is you, if you would like to learn how to speak to strangers and turn strangers into friends, the ability to be able to speak to anybody, and you be the person who leads that conversation. If that is you, my friend, you're in the right place. This video is going to walk you through 4 tips that will help you speak to anybody and turn strangers very quickly into friends. Are you ready? All right, let's get into it.
Hey, welcome to Love on Stage. I'm Mahokhodi. If you're ready to make sales and spark action when you speak, this is your place. I've helped dozens of leaders choose courage over comfort by speaking with confidence and love, especially in tough conversations. Because listen, public speaking isn't just a thing that you do on stage. It's what you do every time you deliver a work presentation, when you interview for that plump job you deserve, when you negotiate your salary, and every time you sweat bullets during a big pitch. That's all public speaking. It's time to level up your storytelling, because your story matters. So, you ready to speak like a boss? Let's get into your most powerful story.
Okay, so you're at the event, you see the person, you lock eyes with them, you are so smitten over this particular human being, and you're like, this is my moment. You drum up all of the courage inside of you and you're ready to make your first move. How do you introduce yourself to the stranger and make it in a compelling way so that you have a conversation that just feels effortless, that feels organic? One of the first things I'm going to encourage you to do is think about open-ended questions. Okay, psychologically, anytime somebody comes to you and asks you a question that begins with how or what or why, you're immediately open to answering the question, not with a yes, no response, but with something that might be a story, something that might lead the conversation beyond just a very quick, here's the information and now we're done. The why question especially is an amazing question, and it opens up conversation in such a beautiful way. But again, you have to remember this is a conversation and you want to turn the stranger into a friend. So even before you approach the stranger with the question, I want you to think about how are you conveying friendliness. The way that we convey friendliness as human beings, it's all body language. And it's actually quite simple once you kind of understand and you have the hack, okay? So some of the things that you want to think about is, what are you doing with your hands? Believe it or not, human beings are evolved to show the other human being on the other end their hands so that they understand that, hey, this person is not a threat. The reason why handshaking is such a powerful way, or embracing somebody else, in almost every culture, there's some way in which when we first meet somebody, we use our hands to communicate, like, I'm not holding anything in these hands and you can trust me, I'm safe. So think about where your hands are. We don't want to have our hands behind our back. We don't ever want to have our hands crossed, because that sends a signal that I'm unapproachable, and I'm building a barrier against myself and the rest of the world. So think about where your hands are. Are they visible? Are they natural looking? You also don't want to be flipping your hands all over the place. Then think about warmth. How can you convey, without saying anything, that I'm a friendly person and I am open, I am ready to receive, I'm also ready to give. One of the most beautiful and natural and free, and trust me, like, this is your most gorgeous self. Smile. Your smile is priceless and it instantly melts people. So instead of melting into the phone, if that's something that you have a habit of doing, or looking down at your phone, consider, is this a good opportunity for me to smile? And smiling is one of those things, it's almost like crying. It's instantaneous, right? It communicates to other people, this person is friendly, but it also invites the other person into that same warmth, that same smile with you. Try it. See if you're walking down a street, how many times you smile at strangers and the number of times that those strangers reciprocate. Once you see that this is something that's really powerful, then you can start integrating it into conversations with strangers. So first, we want to use our body language to communicate that we're open and we're friendly, right? And then once we approach, we want to ask open-ended questions. Third tip, and this one again is about your body language, is so powerful and it is so subtle. It's called mimicry. And mimicking somebody is looking, studying, paying attention to what this person is doing with their body, and then mimicking, doing the same thing, making sure that they understand, not in an overt way. Like I said, this is a subtle skill. This works really well, by the way, if you're, say, on a Zoom or you're meeting somebody virtually for the first time, but it also works in real life if you want to approach someone who you don't know that well in real life. Consider how they use their hands. Consider how they sit in a chair. If somebody is leaning back and they're relaxed like this, can you also lean back? You don't necessarily have to mirror their entire body language, but it's a good idea to signal to the other person, I am just like you. I am safe, just like you. I am friendly, just like you. And it puts the other person at ease. So if somebody is sitting like this, consider, are you leaning in a little bit way too close to the frame and they feel overwhelmed by your energy, right? Can you lean back a little bit? It doesn't have to be, again, the exact same way. The point is to mimic. It is not to be like, it's not to get all weird with this. Another thing with mimicry is thinking about the tone of somebody's voice, thinking about the kind of communicator they are. This is so powerful when you start to pay attention to different kinds of people and how they process information. So if you're with somebody who's a little bit more of an introvert and someone who maybe shies away from big crowds, that is not the time for you to be your loudest and wildest version of yourself. No, that's the point where we might want to use a voice that's completely natural to ourselves, right? Like, we never want to be anything other than who we are, but we want to communicate to the other person that I empathize with you. I'm just like you, and we have common ground. So the most natural ways that you can find doing that are still within the power that is who you actually are, find ways to communicate with the other person that are nonverbal, that me and you, we have a lot in common, okay? We all do this because we're human beings. We meet somebody and we feel that, oh my God, this person is like so amazing. They have everything together. They're where I want to be in a few years. I see myself becoming like this. Or this person is a leader. Maybe you're meeting with a boss at work, right? Or maybe you're meeting with investors and you're really jittery. Maybe you're meeting with the most respected industry leader in your field and you've read everything this person has put out. You're totally a fan and you feel like, oh, I don't even know where to begin. Like, How could I say something out of my mouth that would be worthy of this, like, near God listening to me? Or on the other hand, another thing that we do as human beings is we walk in, and if you've ever spent any time on the East Coast, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You go to a cocktail party in New York City, go to a cocktail party in New York, and immediately everybody's like, so what do you do? So what do you do? And essentially what often, not always, but often what some people are doing in that question is they're sizing you up. And they're trying to figure out, like, is there somebody that I won't waste my time with or not? Do they have the kind of bank account that makes sense for me to hang out with them because I'm trying to get the sale out of this conversation or not? Is this person someone who knows the kind of people that I care to know, like higher ups and, you know, fancy people or not? And within a space of like 5-7 seconds, if you've been in New York, you know exactly what I'm talking about, then suddenly that person's attention is just somewhere else. They're like, oh, hi, you're not worth my time. That's happened to me tons of time. I'm sure it's happened to you, some version of it, of you speaking to someone and totally realizing like, wow, this person is sizing me up in conversation. And when people do that, they're often categorizing folks according to like who's important and who's not, who's somebody that I need to pay attention to, and who's somebody that's just like, I can't keep up moving. Here is power move. The most important thing maybe I will ever teach, ever. Always, 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 when you approach somebody, and especially if that somebody is a stranger, see their humanity. Lean in and get curious about who this person is as a human being. I'm telling you now, this is such a game changer. I'm telling you now, if this is somebody who's a really big deal in your industry, if this is your boss, if this is someone who's an investor, it might change your life and it may very well change that person's life, okay? And definitely, if this is somebody who is maybe an intern or somebody who is a mentee potentially, it could change their life too, because they will feel seen by you in a way that is priceless and in a way that creates a kind of relationship and trust and empathy with this person and them giving that to you that honestly you cannot buy, and that will steady you well way beyond that particular conversation. What you need to do, and this is the tip, every single human being, see them and see their humanity. That means forget about the titles, the fancy titles. That means forget for a second that they're the industry expert. That means for a second, just suspend the fact that you've read every single book that this person has written. That means for just one moment, forget that this person is an intern and is maybe the, person on your organizational chart who's at the very bottom of your organizational chart. Be curious about who they are as a human being. And I guarantee you that will not only open that conversation, so you're actually hitting meaningful territory with the conversation, but trust me, you will move that person very, very quickly from being a stranger to a friend, because you recognize and you see them as a fellow human being. And when we're fellow human beings, we're curious about each other and we communicate that we care about things that are honestly all the same. Like human beings, we more or less all care about the same things. Am I safe? Is my family doing well? Am I able to pursue my dreams? Am I fulfilling my purpose on earth? I'm telling you right now, 9 out of 10 people have so much more in common with each other than they realize. And once you zero in on that common stuff that we have together as human beings, you're going to win, okay? All right, I hope that was helpful. Let me just summarize really quickly. When you are moving into a conversation with somebody that you don't know, and this person is a stranger, and you want to communicate, and you want to move that person from being a stranger into being a friend, the 4 things that you can do to accomplish that really quickly is, before you even get there, think about your body language. Can you convey warmth? Can you convey openness? Number 2, ask open-ended questions. Number 3, follow their lead. make it clear that you empathize with where they are and who they are by making your communication style something that's palatable to who they are and how they're communicating. And the power hack that I hope you use in every single facet of your life: meet them as a human being. There are no people who are too big for you to speak to, and there's certainly nobody who is below you. Everybody is equal, everybody is human, and because everybody is human, you have something in common with anybody that you approach. I hope that this has been useful. If it has, you can hit subscribe. You can also hit like. I would love to hear comments from you in the comment section below. Let me know, have you ever been to one of these New York style cocktail parties where people have sized you up? And if so, what did you do? Did you get spicy or not? Let me know in comments. I can't wait to hear from you.
Was that useful? You want to go even deeper? I'd love to support you. My coaching program can help you make money and spark action whenever you speak with intention. Book time to chat using the link in the description box below. Also, leave a comment if this video offered something you needed to hear today, or if you have a question you want me to unpack in next week's episode. Fresh episodes drop every Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Hit subscribe to get a notification so you never miss a beat. Thank you so much for being here. I want you to know that your story matters. And I'm here to help you stand out from the stage to the page.